You are not a criminal. You are not running from the law. You are not carrying anything illegal. You are a 31-year-old electrician from Tegucigalpa, Honduras. You have a certificate in industrial wiring. You have 7 years of experience. You have applied to 43 jobs in the past 2 years. You have received 4 callbacks and 0 offers. The factory where you worked closed 18 months ago. The owner moved production to a facility in Vietnam. He sent an email. Your daughter is 4 years old. She has a respiratory condition that requires a medication that costs more than your monthly income when you had a monthly income. Your mother is 56 and cannot work. Your rent is 3 months overdue. You have done the math on your situation more times than you can count. The math always produces the same answer. There is no version of staying where things get better. There is only leaving or watching everything collapse slowly until it collapses all at once. You choose leaving. Before you understand what this journey actually is, you need to understand who runs it. Most people think human smuggling is informal. Desperate people, dangerous routes, improvised operations. That is the surface. Underneath, the Coyote Network is one of the most sophisticated logistics operations in the Western Hemisphere. The Sinaloa cartel controls the primary smuggling corridors through Sonora into Arizona. The Gulf cartel controls the Texas crossings through Tamaulipas. CJNG controls routes through Jalisco and Baja California. Every migrant who crosses through cartel territory pays a plaza tax, whether they know it or not. Whether the coyote they hired is cartel or independent, a portion of every crossing fee flows up to whoever controls that corridor. The going rate for a crossing from Central America to the U.S. border is between $8,000 and $15,000. You do not have $8,000. Almost nobody does. That is not an obstacle. That is the business model. You find the contact through a neighbor whose son made it to Houston 2 years ago. The neighbor gives you a phone number. You call it from a prepaid phone. A man answers. He is professional. He asks where you are, where you want to go, and how many people. Just you. He gives you a price. $9,500. You tell him you do not have $9,500. He says that is fine. He says many people pay after arrival. He says the organization has contacts in several U.S. cities who will help you find work and arrange a payment plan. He says it the way a bank says it, installments, reasonable terms. You ask what happens if you cannot pay. He says the organization always finds a way to resolve outstanding balances. He says this without changing his tone. You understand what it means. You tell him you will find the money before you leave. You sell everything, your tools, your television, your motorcycle, your wife's gold earrings. She takes them off and puts them in your hand without being asked. You raise $4,000. You borrow the rest from 3 different people who will need it back. You call the number again. You say you are ready. The first leg takes 12 days. Bus from Tegucigalpa to Guatemala City. Another bus to the Mexican border at Tecunuman. A man meets you on the Mexican side. He is not the man you spoke to on the phone. You will never speak to that man again. This man does not tell you his name. He tells you to call him Primo. He is managing a group of 23 people, Guatemalans, Hondurans, 2 Salvadorans, 1 man from Ecuador who does not speak to anyone. Primo moves you through Chiapas by truck, livestock truck. You ride in the back with 23 other people and the smell of animals and diesel for 9 hours. The truck does not stop. There is no bathroom. There is no water until Primo passes bottles back at hour 4. You arrive at a safe house in Oaxaca State. It is a concrete building with mattresses on the floor and 1 bathroom for 24 people. You stay for 3 days. You are not allowed to go outside. You are not told why you are waiting. You do not ask. You have already learned that asking questions is not something people in your position do. Here is something most people do not understand about the Coyote system. You are not a customer. You are cargo. The distinction matters. A customer has rights. A customer can complain, demand, refuse service. A customer can leave. Cargo does not leave. Cargo does not make demands. Cargo moves when it is moved, stops when it is stopped, and arrives when it arrives, if it arrives. The moment you paid that first installment, you entered a system that operates on the same logic as any other cartel supply chain. You are a unit of revenue moving through a series of handoffs toward a destination. The people managing your movement are not responsible for your comfort. They are responsible for delivery. And unlike the product moving through the same corridors, you can walk, carry your own weight, and require minimal packaging. You are, logistically speaking, the easiest thing the cartel moves. Day 14, you are moving through Veracruz. The group is smaller now, 4 people separated in Oaxaca. You were not told why or where they went. 19 remaining. A new guide takes over from Primo. This one does not offer a name. He is younger, maybe 22. He carries a radio and checks it constantly. He moves you at night. During the day, you rest in safe houses, abandoned buildings, once in the back of a dry goods warehouse whose owner clearly knows what is happening and clearly prefers not to know. You have been walking 3 to 6 hours every night for 4 days. Your feet have blisters that have opened and healed and opened again. You have 1 change of clothes. You have a photograph of your daughter in a waterproof sleeve inside your shirt. You touch it every morning to confirm it is still there. Day 19, Tamaulipas. This is where the journey changes. Tamaulipas is Gulf Cartel territory. The Gulf Cartel's relationship with migrant smuggling is different from other organizations. They do not just tax the coyotes, they sometimes take the cargo directly. The guide knows this, he does not tell you this, but you can see it in how he moves. Faster, less deliberate, more afraid. You cross into Tamaulipas at 2 a.m., you move through scrubland for 4 hours, no flashlights. The guide navigates by landmarks you cannot see. At 4:15 a.m., 3 trucks appear from the dark. They are not the Border Patrol. The men who get out are not wearing uniforms. They are carrying weapons. The guide puts his hands up immediately. He says something in rapid Spanish you cannot fully follow. He hands over a phone. One of the men makes a call. You stand very still. 19 people standing very still in the dark in Tamaulipas at 4 a.m. The man with the phone finishes his call. He speaks to the guide. The guide turns to the group. He says there is an additional fee, $500 per person, payable now or arrangements can be made. You have $40 in your pocket. Most of the group has similar amounts. The man with the phone already knows this. Arrangements are made. This is called a levantón de migrantes, a migrant lift. It happens thousands of times a year along the Tamaulipas corridor. Independent coyotes moving through cartel territory without paying the full plaza tax get intercepted. The migrants become leverage. The organization contacts the migrants' families in their home countries through phone numbers extracted from the migrants' phone. They explain the situation. They explain the additional fee required for safe passage. They explain what happens if the fee is not paid. The fees are typically between $1,000 and $3,000 per person. The families are given 48 to 72 hours. You sit in a concrete room with 16 other people for 51 hours. You are given water twice a day, food once. The room has 1 window with bars. You do not know what is happening outside the room. You do not know if your wife has been contacted. You do not know if she has the money. You do not know what happens if she does not. You look at the photograph of your daughter. You think about the medication she needs. You think about the 43 job applications. You think about your wife taking off her earrings without being asked. You think about the math you did before you left. The math that said there was no version of staying where things get better. You wonder if you calculated correctly. On hour 51, the door opens. A man tells you and 8 others to stand up. The other 8 remain seated. You do not look at them as you leave. You will think about that for a long time afterward. Outside, a truck is waiting. You are moved north. The Rio Grande crossing happens on day 26. It is nothing like the movies. There is no raft. There is no dramatic current. You cross at a shallow point in a group of 6. The water is chest high and cold. You hold your clothes above your head. You hold the photograph above the clothes. The crossing takes 4 minutes. You stand on the other side. You are in Texas. You are soaking wet, and it is 3 a.m., and you are standing in scrubland that looks identical to the scrubland on the other side. There is no feeling of arrival. There is no sense of safety. There is just wet ground under your feet and a guide telling you to move. You are apprehended by Border Patrol 40 minutes later. A sensor triggered when your group crossed. The agents are professional. They are not cruel. They process you efficiently. You are taken to a processing facility. You are given dry clothes and food. You are interviewed through an interpreter. You tell them everything. The route, the safe houses, the men in Tamaulipas, the room with the barred window, the 8 people who did not leave when you did. The agent taking your statement types without looking up. He has heard this before. He has heard this hundreds of times. You are placed in immigration proceedings. Your case will take between 1 and 3 years to resolve. In the meantime, you are released to a shelter in San Antonio with a court date and an ankle monitor. You call your wife from a phone at the shelter. She answers on the first ring. She has not slept in 4 days. She borrowed the money for the Tamaulipas fee from her sister and 2 neighbors. She did not know if it would work. She did not know if you were alive until this moment. She does not cry. She just breathes. You just breathe. Your daughter is asleep. Your wife holds the phone near her so you can hear her breathing. You listen for a long time. You are in San Antonio. You have a court date in 14 months. You have the clothes you crossed in cleaned once at the shelter. You have a photograph and a waterproof sleeve. You have a debt of $9,500 plus the Tamaulipas fee, owed to an organization that has your wife's phone number and knows where your mother lives. You have a certificate in industrial wiring and 7 years of experience. You find work at a construction site within 2 weeks, under the table, $8 an hour. You send money home every Friday without fail. The debt will take 4 years to repay at this rate. During those 4 years, you will not miss a single payment. You know what happens to cargo that cannot settle its balance. Your asylum case is denied 18 months later. The judge cites insufficient evidence of targeted persecution. You appeal. While the appeal is pending, you keep working. You keep sending money home. Your daughter's medication is covered. Your mother's rent is paid. You do the math again. The same math you did in Tegucigalpa before you left. The math still produces the same answer. There is no version of going back where things get better. So you stay, you work, you wait. You hold a photograph in a waterproof sleeve, and you think about the 8 people still sitting in a concrete room in Tamaulipas, and you think about the 2 countries on either side of 4 minutes of cold water, and you think about what the word border actually means to the people who built it versus what it means to the people who cross it. You are not a criminal. You never were. This story is fiction. But the UN estimates that over 500,000 people attempt to cross the U.S.-Mexico border every year. Most of them pay cartel-affiliated coyotes to do it. The Tamaulipas corridor alone generates an estimated $2 billion annually in smuggling fees for the Gulf cartel. The 8 people left in the room, that happens too, more often than the news reports. Most of them are eventually released after families pay, some are not. The border is a business, the cargo is human. And the people who built the business did not build it from the top down, they built it from the desperation up. If this one stayed with you, drop a comment, subscribe. The next story is already waiting.